Believe it or not, I have a background in, I have a certificate in digital marketing. I've mentored with a marketing company that markets all sorts of different products. And I have done a deep dive on the marketing world over the last 4 years. Obviously, my education is not in that, but I have done a background over a deep dive in the last 4 years on marketing. So I'm excited to talk about it. It's something that I do every single week. And I am here to share any insights that I can with all of you on marketing. And so we are going to dive into our presentation here today. And we're going to take a look at, I'm going to share, only have a few slides with you, but I'm going to share a few things with you via slides. And we're going to take this in all kinds of fun directions today. So, what is marketing? Basically, it's everything before the sales interaction. So, when we look at personal training or health and fitness marketing, everything before you actually get into the consult or, someone hits the buy now button on your website, or books an appointment to come to your gym, everything before that is the marketing process. So, we're basically, taking them on a journey from them realizing or knowing for the first time that you actually exist in this world and what you do for a living, the services that you provide, to that point where there's a sales interaction. Again, that could be a buy now button on the website. It could be a consult. It could be them coming into the gym just to check you out, whatever. That's when the sales process will start. But everything between them knowing you exist and that sales process is that marketing journey. And it really is a journey, and that's important to understand, that you have to, when you plan marketing out, you have to think about what is the journey that I'm looking to take this person through before they're presented the option to buy. And that's really important to understand that that's all a strategy and planned out. And along that journey, they should know you exist. That's the first part. They should know what it is you do and the services you provide, but also they should know your values along the way too. So if you're doing a good job with your marketing, by the time they get to that buying part, they're going to know your values as a company or as an individual, and they're going to know that they're in the right place. That's part of the marketing journey. Customers want to know that they're in the right place, that it's somebody that they resonate with or a company that they resonate with. And if you haven't made that clear along the way, then you're going to make your sales process a lot harder. You're going to make it a lot tougher on yourself. Okay. Here's what I always talk to people about in terms of marketing is that it's a really important that it's a strategy, that it's a plan, right? You have to have a plan or a strategy. You have to look at this journey and actually plan things out. What I find when I first start coaching either individuals or companies or gyms is that when I look at what they're doing, it's a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall. Okay, so there's no plan. They're just like, well, let's throw up some social media and let's have a website and let's try and do this offer and to bring people in the door or, do some kind of event. Nothing's working cohesively together. And that's why it only works a little bit or it's struggling to work or it could work better than it is because there's no organization or plan. So when we look at marketing, there's a lot of ways to market. There's a lot of modalities and things you can do, but the most important part of it all is that it works together and there's an actual strategy or plan in place. And it does have a journey where it takes someone along that journey, to where you want them to be, which is a sales interaction. And so that's why I always start by saying that is that that's really important that all pieces need to work together and there needs to be a strategy. And the strategy is going to be informed by the sales process. So if your sales process is a buy now button on the website versus like a one-on-one consult, and then there's things in between those two, it's going to be different amounts of work on the marketing journey. So if my sales process is a buy now button on a website, then I have more work to do to demonstrate my values, to demonstrate, my product and why people should purchase in my marketing journey than if there's a consult. Because if there's a consult at the end, I can provide some of that value face to face. I have the opportunity to talk to someone. And so there's less heavy lifting on the marketing and I can do some of the heavy lifting in the face-to-face interaction. But if somebody's buying via just a click here button, then I have to do more work on my marketing journey. So when they get to the button, they're ready. They're more ready to buy. And so that's important to understand too, is that the marketing journey is going to be slightly informed by how are we selling this product or service. Okay. So that's important to understand. So before we talk about the modality, I'm going to get into the big three of marketing, and I'll just share this with you here. And this is kind of a process that I've used with a lot of people to help inform their marketing, and I'll share that with you here today. So the big three for marketing are these three things, and they kind of need to be done in this order, so that we can, get to the right outcome or get to the sales process in the right way. So number one is the market that I'm trying to segment or the market that I'm serving. Number two is the messaging. And then number three is the medium. Okay. And I'm gonna break this down for you as we go through. So a lot of people are asking like, okay, should I, run social media ads, or should I do organic social, or should I do an event or a billboard or this or that and the other? And that's important to ask, but I need to know these three things first: the market, the message, and then we get to the medium or the modalities. Okay. And so it's important that we do that first, because, well, the answer to all those things is it depends, right? Like it depends on who we're trying to contact and how and where they're consuming information. So let's get into that. We'll get into the first piece, which is the market. Okay. And so we go to the next slide. Perfect. So if we go on to market, there's a couple of things that we really want to know is number one, who is the ideal client? Okay. So that's just specifically defining the person that you want to serve. Okay. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is what is the problem you solve, or what is exactly you do for them. Okay. So under market, we have those two things, and maybe write those down or take a picture of the screen, because I'm going to put this down so we can talk a little bit about these. But under market, those are the two things that we want to know: ideal client, the problem you solve. So ideal client, is who are you trying to appeal to? A lot of people are asking, should I niche or not, right? So that's a big topic in the marketing world, is should I have a niche, right? And the answer to that is it depends, right? So when we look at the market, the ideal client, right, whether to niche or not goes to how much competition is there and what's your marketing budget, okay? And then that determines how you need to niche. And so an example of that is the higher the competition out there, right, and the lower your budget, the more you need to niche. Okay. So the higher the competition and the lower your budget for marketing, the more you need to niche. Okay. And so the reason I say that is for this particular reason, is that if there's a lot of competition out there, right, you need to have a big budget in order to market to that person or to that audience or that ideal client. Because there's a rule in marketing that is whoever can pay the most to acquire their ideal client wins. Okay. Whoever can pay the most to acquire their ideal client wins. And chances are that Weight Watchers can pay more to acquire a client than a one-off personal trainer. Let's say. So let's say let's use that market as an example. Let's say I want to help people lose weight, lose body fat. Okay. So I want to help people lose weight. That's a big market, right? There's a ton of competition out there. So I better have a really big budget, because whoever can pay the most to acquire a client is going to win in that market through volume. Right. So that's why I need to niche, right? So then I can niche down and I can say, okay, I want to serve women who want to lose weight. Well, that's still a pretty big market and that's still a lot of competition. So my budget probably still needs to be pretty high, right? So then I can niche down and I can say, I want to help moms lose weight, right? And then that's still, again, it's more niche, but we're still with fat loss, moms that want to lose weight, I still might be in a pretty competitive market. Or they call it, like, if you've heard blue ocean strategy, blue ocean means it's like a very non-competitive market. And so they say red ocean is like blood in the water. The sharks are feasting. There's too much competition. So it's a fairly red ocean still. But if I start to add more explainers to that and I say, okay, I want to help, moms, right, who have, insulin resistance, lose body fat over the age of 50. Now I'm getting somewhere. You see what I mean? I'm defining my market more and more and more. Okay. And the reason for this is that we want people to identify with, and we're going to talk about this with our ideal client. We want people to identify with, this product is for me. Like if you say this product's to help people lose weight, there's going to be a lot of people that identify on a surface level. But the more describers you involve, or the more niche you get, the more people are willing to put their hand up and say, no, no, that is me. That is exactly me. That is exactly the challenge or struggle that I'm going through. Okay. So when we're defining our ideal client, the kind of rule of thumb here with ideal client is if you try to appeal to everyone, you're going to appeal to no one. Okay. So if I'm a health and fitness coach or a personal trainer, it doesn't matter. If I'm in health and fitness and I say, well, I can help anybody, that might be true, but when you get that out there into the world and you're trying to promote your services and what you do, nobody is going to put their hand up and say, that is me, right? Because that's just about everybody. But people want to know that you understand the personal struggles they're going through, right? Are they a man? Are they a woman? Do they have kids? Are they busy at work, or is there challenge that they're having to take care of the home all day, or, are they traveling a lot? Are they in one location? Like, they want to know that you can help me with my specific challenge and problems. And that's where niching comes in, is the more identifiers we can put to the ideal client, the more someone will raise their hand and say, that's me, that Susan knows exactly what I'm going through. And so I should work with her, right? Or I should come check out her gym because she's made her gym for me, people like me, right? So that's one of the things that you want to take into consideration there when we're going through our ideal client, right? Is that most of us on this call are not going to have the same budget as these big corporations. And so we need to decrease the amount of competition that we're marketing to by more clearly identifying our client or niching our client. Okay. So most of us don't have those big budgets. So we want to decrease the competition by niching what we're doing. And so niching what we're doing comes down to just being clear on identifying who our ideal client is, right? All those things that I just talked about. How old are they? What gender are they? Are they a family person? Are they a child? Like, are they a teenager? Do they play sports? Are they, the more identifiers that you can go through, the better you can help them. So I can say, I want to help men. I want to help men who are between 30 and 45 years old. I want to help men who are between 30 and 45 years old that are busy professionals or entrepreneurs. Or I want to help men between 30 and 45 years old who are busy professionals, entrepreneurs, who have kids at home and have low back pain. Right? So now the more specific I get, the easier it is for me to market to that person and for them to put their hand up. Okay. So that's on ideal client, on how we would identify the ideal client. You have to look at the market you want to be in. So I'm a personal trainer. It's like, who do you want to help? Right? Who do you want to help is your problem. And that's the second piece to the market, is the problem we solve. We need to be very specific on the problem that we're solving. And the problem that we're choosing to solve has to have a couple of factors to it. Number one, it needs to be a problem that people are willing to pay to solve. Okay. So people have a lot of problems in their life, but some of them just not worth investing in, or they're worth investing a small amount in or a certain amount in. So they need to be willing to solve those problems. Okay. And then the second thing is that the problem they're willing to pay to solve should have an impact in their daily life, or it should cause a good amount of mental stress, or they should be thinking about it on a regular basis because they're not going to be ready to start if it doesn't impact their day to day. Like think about the things that you spend money on or purchase, right? Typically, they impact your day to day in a big way if you're spending big money on it. If you're spending small money on it, they may impact your day in a small way. Like I might buy a chip clip, it keeps your chips fresh by putting it on the plastic bag, right? And that's not a big inconvenience. It doesn't impact my day-to-day life very much, but I might pay $2 for it. So if I'm selling something that costs thousands of dollars, it needs to have a big impact on my daily life. Okay. So not being able to sleep at night, that's a big problem. You can't show up, right? Having aches and pains, like you can't go to work or you're not able to do the things that you love in life, right? We need to have something that impacts somebody's life in a big way so that they're motivated to do something about it. They're motivated to pay for it. Okay. And so with the problem we solve, we want to have a problem that people are willing to pay to solve that has a daily impact in their life, and we need to be able to state it simply. Okay. So if I say, well, the problem I solve is for menopausal women, that have 3 or more kids who work part-time. I help them learn how to use weights and eat on the paleo diet so that they can feel better about themselves, be empowered, and lose weight. That's way too much. It's way too much. So some of those things might be in my ideal problem, but the problem I solve, I need to be able to state it very simply. Okay. So I could say, I help people that have tried everything to solve their low back pain, create a breakthrough. Right? Very simple. It's very clear what I do. You've tried other things before, they haven't worked. I can help you. Okay. So that's an example of stating the problem that someone might solve very simply. Okay. And that takes a little practice. You can just write it out a bunch of different ways. You can get AI or ChatGPT to help you write that out and say, hey, here's the thing I want to solve here's my ideal client. Put this into one simple sentence for me 5 different ways. And it'll put it out for you 5 different ways. And you can come up with a good statement for yourself. Okay. So that's what I'm going to say on marketing so far, and we can, or on market so far, and we can come back to it with some more questions. But that's the first step in our marketing journey is, okay, who exactly am I going to help? Okay. And what's the problem that I'm going to solve for them? And how niche do I need to get? And that again depends on, my competition and how much budget I have. The other thing that does have a play here into it is how many clients do I need? I didn't mention that, but I should. How many clients do I need? Okay. Because that makes it the volume you need per year makes a difference in what market you're going to choose. So if I run an online coaching program, I might need, thousands of clients per year, right? Depending on the price point of the program, right? If I run a gym, I may need hundreds of clients per year. If I'm a personal trainer, like I work one-to-one with people, I might need 15 clients a year. Okay. So those are all very different numbers. So the volume you need to bring in also makes a big difference, right? So then we have to make sure that there's a viable market that you can bring in either your 15 clients, your 100 clients, or your 1,000 clients a year. And that just depends on what you're offering, right? So the more clients per year you need, probably the more niche we need to get because the competition is going to be bigger, okay? If I only need to have 15 clients a year, then it makes my job a little bit easier. Okay. So that's a factor, is how many clients do we need per year to bring into this program or sell this service to in order to hit the goals that I want to hit for my business. Okay. So that's about market. So if anybody has any questions on market, you can throw them in the chat, and I'll start to move on to the next one, which is going to be messaging. So once I know what my market is, then I've defined it. I've defined my ideal client. This is who it is. And you can update that as you go, right? Like you can get it like semi-clear. And then as you go and start to work with more and more people, you start to be more clear on who your ideal client is. And then the problem you solve, you can change that over time and add to that as well too. Okay. But once we know kind of those things, who's our market, then we go to messaging. So this is the next slide here, messaging. So now we got to create, how are we going to talk to those people? So messaging is everything that you say about who you are, what your business is, and what it is you do. Okay. So whether it's face to face, what you say to people in your pitch, at an event, doing a lunch and learn, it's your website, it's your social media, what you're posting about on social media. If you have a flyer, it's what's on the flyer. If you're going to do a blog, it's, everything you write and do and say, and every video you create should be centered around your messaging, which is here. Okay. So there's three key points when it comes to messaging. Number one is, what are the pain points? Okay. What are the discomforts they're trying to eliminate from their life? What are the pain points for this ideal client? Number two, what are the desired outcomes? What are the end results that they want? And number three, what are the barriers to success? What's stopping them? Or what have they tried in the past and failed at? Okay. So write those three down and maybe take a picture of that screen there, because these are the three things we're going to go through here. So why do we have to get our messaging down? Because there's competition, okay? Because there's competition, and we want a client to say, this is me. Wendy is talking specifically to me when she says that thing. When she posted that video, that I know she posted a video about Susan, but that video could have been about me. That's what we want people to say when they look at our content, whether it's our website, what we post on social. When people are looking at consuming any of our content or looking at anything we do, we want them to strongly identify with it and say, this is me. Okay. And so that's why it's important to have our messaging down, is so that people do identify with it. Again, if we try and appeal to everyone and say, hey, I can train anybody, it may be true, but nobody's going to put their hand up. And so you don't really appeal to anyone, and you have less people clicking the buy now, booking a consult, coming into your gym, whatever it is. Okay. So that's why we have to get our messaging down. So the first one was pain points. Okay. So we want to understand this person's pain points. And it's basically like, if you already work with some of this ideal client, the best way is to ask them, what made you decide what tipped you over the edge to start? Like what made you put your money down? Right. So pain points basically are physical, mental, or emotional pain in their life. Okay. So let's take our weight loss as an example. If you want to help people that want to lose weight, what are some of the physical pains that they're going through? Okay. Their clothes may not fit as good as they want them to, and they feel physical discomfort. Maybe they feel tired going upstairs or doing activities around the house. Maybe they can't play like with their kids the way that they want to physically. Whatever physical things happen in their day-to-day life that make them feel physically uncomfortable. Okay. Mental. So what's the psychological of this person that wants to lose weight? Maybe there's self-esteem. Maybe there's doubt in themselves. Maybe they, don't like the way they look in the mirror and how that makes them feel. Okay. And then there's the emotional piece to it. The last factor is like, I feel sad, or I feel depressed when I think of these things, or I feel hopeless, or I feel fearful that one day my health is going to suffer, or I'm going to die early, or things like that. Okay. So physical, mental, and emotional. What are the physical, mental, and emotional pains that your ideal client is experiencing in their day-to-day life? You want to make sure that they resonate with them really well. Okay. And then the other thing is that you want to always have the feelings associated with your pain points. Okay. So as an example, your client might be that other person that we talked about, that busy entrepreneur that gets back pain, a male, 30 to 40 years old, back pain entrepreneur, right? So I have physical back pain sitting in my office at work, and I'm not getting as much done. Great. That's a physical pain point. How does that make them feel? Okay. It makes them feel like they're, going to lose status in their company. It makes them feel like, they're not as good as the other people that work there. It makes them feel scared that they might lose income down the road, whatever. So we took a physical pain point and we said, how does that make them feel about it, right? Or it's like, one of my emotional pain points might be, I can't keep up with my kids anymore, right? Okay, great. How does that make them feel? It makes me feel like I'm letting my kids down. Okay. So we want to have, with all these pain points, we want to have the feeling that's associated with it because we will want to include that in our messaging. The next pain point is the positive side of things. So these are the pain points. What are the desired outcomes? Okay. So what are the things that they want? And the more specific and emotional that these things are, the better, right? So someone's like a desired outcome. I want to lose weight. Well, that's not very specific or emotional, right? So I like to phrase it. They want to blank so that they can blank. Okay. So they want to lose 20 pounds of body fat so that they can, wear that dress that they used to wear 20 years ago, right? And feel confident. Or they want to get rid of their back pain so that they can go on a hiking trip with their spouse, right? And feel like, their relationship is good. So they want to blank so that they can blank. Those are the desired outcome statements I like to make because, some of the desired outcomes are like energy. Okay, great, but that's not enough, right? Energy for what? What are they going to do with that energy? How is that going to improve their life? I like to look at this what I call future perfect. What is the future perfect of that change? Okay. So that's what we do with desired outcomes. Okay. They want to whatever so that they can blank. And I like to do at least 5 desired outcomes that this person really wants to get out of it. Okay. The next one we're going to go into is barriers. So what is stopping them from getting started, or what has stopped them in the past from getting started, or what have they tried that they're failed? We need to know that because we need to address that in our marketing, right? So as an example, if somebody is not gotten started because of the cost, well, we need to address the cost that it's surprisingly affordable in our messaging somehow, right? If people have not gotten started because they've tried stretching in the past and it didn't work, how is our system different? I know you've tried stretching in the past, but this is how we're different, right? Or let's say they've tried to work out at a personal training studio before, but it didn't work for them. How is your studio different? You will need to address that because if you don't address it, they will not get started. I've worked with a personal trainer before, right? And it didn't work. Okay, how are you different? You're going to need to address it. So what have they tried before that has failed? Okay, because you'll need to address it in your marketing, or what's stopping them from getting started right now. I don't know if it'll work for me because I have, a gluten intolerance. Okay, or I don't know that it'll work for me because, I have this particular genetic anomaly. Or I don't know that it'll work for me because I'm really busy and I don't have enough time to dedicate to I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to a program. So whatever the barriers are that has, is stopping them or they've tried in the past, we need to be able to address it. And so we need to come out for our ideal client, whoever we said our ideal client was, we need to come up with their barriers, right? It's not every barrier on the face of this earth. They're gonna resonate with some very specific barriers. Like if my ideal client is a busy entrepreneur male, right? Like they may be working 60, 70-hour weeks, right? So I need to address that in my messaging, that it's quick. You can get it done easily, right? Maybe they don't have time to drive to a gym. You can do at-home workouts or whatever. So I need to be able to address whatever their specific points are, right? If I'm working with a mom, maybe they don't have anywhere to a babysitting for the kids and stuff. So maybe I need to have a mom and kid program, or maybe we have to have daycare at our program, or maybe it needs a do from home program while the kids are sleeping or whatever. So whatever's stopping them, you need to be able to address it. Okay. And so that's why we need to know the barriers to success. And then the last piece, this is going to be for messaging, is to all 3 of these points. So we have our pain points. Okay. We have our desired outcomes and we have our barriers. Okay. And then what we need to do to all these is we're going to need to cater the message to the stage of the journey they're at. Okay. That's really important. So, as an example, if I look at that journey that I talked about, that marketing is a journey that customers go on from A to Z, right? Is that people are going to be at different stages, right? So, if in my social media, chances are they don't know me really well yet. And so I need to cater those messages to early stage journey, right? If somebody's landing on my website, then chances are they know me a little bit better. So I can be a little bit later stage messaging, right? So they call this like, just the stages of the customer journey somebody's at and being able to message where they're at on their journey, right? Do they know me? Do they know what I do? How well? Right. And then what can that messaging do? Meaning that, something on social media, I'm not a big fan of putting offers in right away on social media to say, hey, book a call with me, DM me. I'm looking for two clients that, or I have two openings or whatever, posting it on social media, because a lot of the people seeing that are early stage, meaning that they're not ready to make that sort of commitment. So that's a commitment I would do once they've already warmed themselves up on the customer journey. And then the other thing that we need to consider about, the stage that they're at is, are they problem aware, right? Or are they not problem aware, right? And then are they looking for solutions, right? So this is a theme in marketing. There's a fantastic book on it. The name of the book's escaping me right now, but hopefully it comes to me. But it's like a marketing Bible where it's like, sometimes people aren't even aware they have a problem, right? And then we need to educate them. This is the problem associated with that, right? Or they already know they have a problem. I know I have a problem. This is my problem. Or I know I have a problem and I know the solutions is resistance training. Now I'm just deciding which resistance training path I want to go down. So that's important to consider because your messaging will change depending on who it is. So if I provide help to people that are, dealing with aches and pains, they probably know they have an ache or pain, so they know they have a problem. Are they solution aware, right? Do they know they can address it through the solution you offer, or are they still unsure of the solution they should take, right? Those are two different messages, right? I have to educate them on this, why my solution works, or they already are looking for my solution, which might be exercise or whatever. And all I have to do is let them know why my exercise solution is the best one. Okay. So with all these three things, pain points, desired outcome, barriers, we're looking at what stage of the customer journey are they at, or marketing journey are they at, and are they problem aware, and are they solution aware? Okay. So again, if you have any questions or things you want to ask about around messaging, you can throw them in the chat. We will do a Q&A towards the end, but I do have one more category, which is medium. Okay. So we've got market. We need to know our ideal client and the problem we solve. Then we've got messaging. What are all the key markers that we need to know around messaging? Okay. What I do is when I work with either individuals or gyms, I create what's called a messaging sheet. Around a messaging sheet, everything that we've talked about so far is all written out in bullet points. Okay. We have all this stuff ready to go. So anytime we're doing anything related to marketing, what should I post on social? We look at the sheet. What should I write in this email? We look at the sheet. I'm going to run an ad. What should go in the ad? I look at this sheet, right? Because those are the things that we want to constantly bring up as the things that we've talked about so far. Okay. Even if I'm doing a blog, like let's say I'm doing a blog on my website, what are the topics I should write about? Well, I should write about the topics that my ideal client cares about, right? Like if I'm writing blogs about which kind of cardio equipment is good, yes, that's fitness related, but is that something my ideal client actually cares about? If not, then the blog's not helping them move on their customer journey at all, right? So as you'll see, like with exercise therapy as an example, is that when we write blog articles or videos, it's all about getting out of aches and pains because that's what our people care about, right? We're not writing blogs about how to gain muscle mass. We're not posting videos about how to gain muscle mass. That's not our ideal client. So why would we post videos on the 3 top ways to build muscle mass? We wouldn't, right? So that's important. Any content that you're putting out is your marketing, okay? And so we're always looking at our marketing sheet, which is all the things we just talked about, and using that to decide upon how we write emails, websites, content, social, all that stuff. Okay, is that fair? All right, let's move to Medium. I'll bring up my slides again and we'll say, okay, now when we know all that stuff, we've got a messaging sheet. And again, your messaging sheet can change over time. You can add to it, take stuff off, but we want to have at least a sheet going. Once we have that sheet going, we can move to Medium. So Medium basically is, how are we going to get our message out there? So we know who we're targeting. We know how to talk to them. How are we getting our messaging out there? And that's the medium or modality, okay? So the medium there's 3 categories of mediums, and then there's a lot of ways under each. So the first medium is physical. Something is there that is physically promoting you, not you, but something else. So physical are flyers, signs, bio boards, billboards, anything that's physically there promoting you, posting an article on a bulletin board. So let's say a local nutrition store has a helpful tips bulletin, and you post an article about, the top exercises to get rid of knee pain. That's a physical thing that's there when you're not there with your contact info at the bottom. So that's physical. Social, it does not mean social media. Social means you are physically present there promoting yourself. So it could be walking on the gym floor is social. You could be doing a lunch and learn at a business. You could be at a business networking event. You could be running a workshop somewhere. Anything that you're physically there is social. And then the last category is digital, and that's anything internet-based, right? So you're looking at, that's your website, that's your social media content, it's your podcast, it's your YouTube channel, anything under that category is digital. So those are the 3 basic categories of mediums, okay? So we want to have those 3 categories of mediums down. And then what we can do is we can do an exercise where we're going to brainstorm all the different mediums that we could potentially use. Okay. So if I'm like a face-to-face personal trainer, I would say, what are all the physical things that I could use? Is there a bio board? Is there a news bulletin? Can I put up a sign or a flyer or a whiteboard or whatever? What are the physical things I'm using? If I'm if I own a gym or a studio, can I use flyers? Can I use billboards? Can I have signs or articles posted in coffee shops or whatever? What are all the physical things that I can use, right? So if I'm an online business, there's going to be less physical stuff. We're not going to rely on this one so much because online businesses typically market in a lot of big geographic areas, and so less physical stuff, okay? So that's the physical piece. And then we go to social, we brainstorm it all out, right? So social, again, is like, I have access to this business networking group, or, my gym is in this plaza, so I can run events in the parking lot in collaboration with the other businesses to bring people in. That might be a social event. We can throw, a semi-annual member rewards party where we create an event and a DJ and stuff. That would be a social event. Or we can go to the senior center and provide a workshop or whatever. So that's all the social stuff. For you, it's going to be different. Everybody on this call has a little bit of a different business. And so you're going to brainstorm out what are the social things that you have access to do. And don't put any caps on saying, I don't want to do that. The first step is just to get all the ideas on the table, right? Let's get all the ideas on the table, and then we can decide which ones we want to actually take action on. And then digital, right? So with the digital space, it's like, okay, I have a Facebook account, I have a website, I have an Instagram account or TikTok, or I use LinkedIn, or I have a YouTube channel that I've started on, or I have a podcast, or I want to start a podcast, right? And then I have an email list, which, by the way, hot tip coming in, everybody should have an email list. Okay, so that is, in my world, email marketing and email list is non-negotiable. Everybody should be doing it. But anyways, so I have an email list that I can market to. What are all the digital ways that I can market myself? Okay, and I list them out. With the digital, it can get overwhelming quick. All this marketing stuff can get overwhelming quick because when you make these lists, you're going to have a lot of stuff you can do, but they don't want you to do all of them. because that requires a lot of time and effort. So now what we have to do is we have to prioritize. Okay, here's my list of all my physical, social, and digital ways of doing things, okay, that I could do to market my business myself with my messaging. Okay. So what should I do? So the best mediums lie at the intersection of your strengths, okay, and where and how your clients consume information. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The best mediums lie at the intersection of your strengths and where and how your clients consume information. All right. If my client is 65 years old, okay, chances are I'm not going to find them on TikTok. Okay. So that might not be a first choice for medium. I'm probably not going to find them on a YouTube channel. Yes, do 65-year-olds show up to that stuff? Of course they do, but in much, much smaller percentages, right? Versus, if somebody's 30 something years old, chances are they have an Instagram account, right? Like that's just the reality of it. Okay. So that's how we have to look at things is where is my person going to be showing up, right? If I want to do a cross promotion, a social cross promotion with another store, I have to consider, is my ideal client using that store, right? Like the running room, maybe yes, maybe no, right? Nutritional store, maybe yes, maybe no, right? McDonald's, probably not. You know what I mean? Like where are the people that are going to want, like, where is my ideal client going to be online, in person, or whatever? And then what are my strengths? Okay. So meaning that some people are better at writing things. So blogs are good for them because they're good writers. Some people produce really good video content. They're creative or they know someone that's creative that can help them with video work. Some people are better at talking. And so they want to do a podcast and they have access to someone to help them with that. These are just all the different things that we need to consider when we are choosing our mediums. Okay. So what are my strengths? What am I good at doing? Right. And then where can I find my ideal client and how does my ideal client consume information? So as an example, my ideal client is 22 years old and I'm a good writer. It might not play. Like 22-year-olds are not known for reading long blogs and things like that. They're very attention deficit. So, maybe if I short form right, but I have to consider my client as well too, not just my strengths. Okay. So we want to take all those things into consideration, and then we're going to, choose some mediums. Okay. Here's some additional things to consider when you're choosing your mediums is budget versus time. Okay. So when you are marketing in a medium, you have to spend a combination of budget and time on it. And they're usually inverse to each other, meaning that if you have a small budget, you will likely have to spend a lot more time doing it. And if you have a large budget, you can spend less time working on it. So they're inversely related to each other. And sometimes it's a combo of both, but they meet in the middle, right? So again, a lot of people that are on this call and a lot of people I work with don't have massive budgets for this area. And so they have to be able to invest some time into it. Okay. So budget versus time is important. Direct versus non-direct is another factor we need to know. Okay. Non-direct is slow, direct is fast, meaning that non-direct is like organic social. Okay. So if I post on Facebook, Instagram organically, typically about 2% of my friend list is going to see that post. Okay. 2%. Sorry. That's 5 to 7% of my friend list and 1 to 2% non-friends. Okay. Of what my friend list is. So it's very slow. You have to post a lot of content. You have to be on there on a regular basis. You have to have some strategy to get that 1 to 2% of non-friend list actually engaging with the content so they show it to some more people, things like that. But it's very slow, right? So building an organic social following and actually selling customers, it takes time, right? Versus direct would be me walking out of the gym floor and approaching someone. That could be very fast. Like I could have a really meaningful conversation with them, help them on the spot and book a consult on the spot, and next week sell them, right? So the more direct your channel is, or your medium is, the faster it's going to produce a result. And the more non-direct it is, or more indirect it is, the slower and longer it's going to take. And that's something too important to consider in our marketing too. Okay. Another thing that's important to just consider in our mediums is trends. Okay. Trends will wear out, and it doesn't mean your content or your messaging changes. It just means you need to vary the trend. Here's an example. Webinars are burning out. So during the pandemic, webinars got super hot. There were a few people doing them before the pandemic. Show rates before the pandemic on webinars were like 50, 60, 70%. If people signed up for a webinar, they showed up, but very few people were doing them. Then we hit the pandemic and everybody jumped in and started doing webinars. Still, show ratios were okay, but they dropped to about 30%. Okay. Webinar show rates right now are about 10%. So if someone signs up for a webinar you're hosting, about 10% actually show up. Okay. And that's just because this modality is getting burnt out. People have shown up to a bunch of webinars and they got value, didn't get value, and they're done with it. They're sick of it. So they don't want to do it anymore. Okay. So does that mean you need to change your messaging? No, it means you need to alter the way you're delivering your messaging. You need to go to a different medium because people are fed up with webinars, right? And so just deliver the same messaging, but in a different way, right? So there are times where we need to we don't want to necessarily jump on trends, but we do need to change the ways that we deliver our messaging slightly. It's just changing the packaging. It's not really changing what the message is that we're delivering. Another example being is like, posting on Facebook, I have 2 openings for a female that wants to, beat their metabolic issues and lose weight, right? That's been happening for a number of years now. So the response rate on it is not 0, but the response rate has gone down dramatically over the last 2 years to something like that type of strategy. So I either need to do way more of it or just understand for my efforts, my work, I'm going to get less of a response. Okay. And that's just important to understand. Or I need to change my strategy, right? So change my medium because so many people have been using that medium that people are resistant to it now. And if I can find a different way to package the same message and get it in front of my ideal client, I may get a better response rate. So those are just some things to take into consideration is budget versus time, direct versus non-direct, and trends. Okay. So that's, those are the things that we want to take into consideration in our marketing plan, but we can use the same messaging. We just package it differently. Okay. With the time versus budget, coming back to that for a second, right? So as an example, like on social media, I'll just use as an example. I can post organic content and to get it out to hundreds of people or thousands of people, if that's how many people I need to build a sales funnel, like to get people in, right? I have to post every day, which means I need to create good content every day. Because if I post lousy content, I'm going to lose people. Like if there's no value in the content, this is a whole another topic, but there's no value in the content, people just stop paying attention to me. All right. So I need to post valuable content. I need to go with what's working on the platform. It might be video, right? So then I need to have video ideas. I need to shoot videos. I need to edit them and I need to post daily, right? It's a lot of effort. Or I can create 1, 2 really great videos and spend money on Facebook to have Facebook show that video to more people, right? So that's why I'm saying time versus money is a thing. Same thing. If I own a gym, I can go out and I can do lunch and learns and I can go hand out flyers and talk to people for free, but I got to do a lot of it to get someone to actually walk in the door. Or I can pay for ads, spend no time on it, little time creating the messaging and the imaging and stuff, right? But then pay to have it to get out there. I don't have to personally get it out there. And that's the time versus budget thing that we just need to consider when we're creating our strategy, okay? So those are the 3 main components to having a marketing plan, and then we take action on that marketing plan. So number 1, market, okay? Who's my ideal client? What's the problem that I'm solving for them? Number 2 is messaging. What are the pain points, the desired outcomes, and the barriers? Like how can I speak to those specific people and get them excited and emotional about what I have to offer? And then medium, what are the ways that I'm actually going to get all that out to them, okay? So to create a plan from that, one thing that's important to consider is that A, the plan needs to work together. It needs to be cohesive, right? Everything needs to talk to each other and work with it, right? So if you have a website, it's like, well, how are you getting people onto that website, right? Or if you have a physical location, what in your marketing is bringing people in the door of that physical location? It needs to work together, okay? And number two, you can't do everything, right? Like if I try and do lunch and learns, have a podcast, do a YouTube channel, post social content every day, like I'm going to be burnt out, right? So we got to choose some strategies and we got to double down on them, do them well. And then what we do from there is we test and adapt, meaning that if I try a strategy, whether it's on social media, a lunch and learn, a physical one, a social one, doesn't matter. I'm going to test it and I'm going to see, is this working? And if it's not working at all, like, am I hitting the wrong market? Is my messaging way off? Or is this just not where my client lives? Like they're not consuming it, right? Or is it working a little bit and I need to tweak my messaging, right? To get it to work better. Or is it working a lot and I need to double down on this? If something's working a lot, we double down. We go full force on that avenue, right? And you can apply that to any of the three mediums, okay? So whether it's social media, ads, physical marketing, whatever, you can apply that same strategy, which is like, let's test it and let's adapt. I try and avoid abandoning, okay? People that are trying to market that are like, okay, I'm going to try social media. No, that didn't work. I'm going to try a podcast. No, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to try lunch and learns. No, that didn't. You're not giving it enough time to work, and you're abandoning, and you're constantly switching tracks, and you don't ever build any kind of momentum. Okay, so you have to. It's not that we don't ever pivot or adapt, but we don't abandon. Okay, we have to give it time to work. We have to. If we're constantly jumping around, throwing spaghetti at the wall, it's just not going to work. Okay. So when we're putting together that plan, those are the things that we want to take into consideration.